Aerial war movies do not just show combat. They place you inside fragile machines screaming through hostile skies where every second feels borrowed. These films are not about spectacle alone. They are about fear, discipline, sacrifice, and survival thousands of feet above the ground. These are the 10 greatest aerial war movies ever made, beginning with the ones that define the genre itself. Number 10. Wings. 1927. Before sound, before safety regulations, and before special effects, Wings accomplished something no war film had ever dared attempt. It put cameras into the sky alongside real pilots and asked actors to fly into actual danger. Released in 1927, this silent epic did not simulate aerial warfare. It captured it. The aircraft were real. The stunts were real. The risk was constant. Planes collided for the camera. Pilots flew through clouds of smoke and debris without modern guidance or protection. Every frame carries the tension of people who knew that one mistake meant death. The story follows young American pilots during the First World War, and while the narrative is simple, the emotion is overwhelming. Friendship, rivalry, and loss unfold entirely through faces, hands, and movement. Without dialogue, the film relies on visuals and rhythm to communicate terror, exhilaration, and grief. When pilots spiral toward the earth, there is no music cue telling you how to feel. The silence does the work. The sky becomes a vast, empty grave. What makes Wings timeless is not nostalgia. It is authenticity. The dogfights feel chaotic, unbalanced, and desperate. Pilots lose sight of each other. Planes drift out of formation. The sky feels hostile and indifferent. This is not heroism packaged neatly. It is survival by instinct. The camera lingers on wreckage, falling slowly as if the world itself is holding its breath. Wings won the first Academy Award for Best Picture, not because it was safe or polite, but because it redefined what cinema could capture. Nearly a century later, no digital sequence has replicated its raw danger. It remains the foundation of every aerial war movie that followed. Number 9. The Blue Max, 1966. The Blue Max does not romanticize flight. It weaponizes ambition. Set during the First World War, the film follows a ruthless German fighter pilot obsessed with earning the highest aerial medal regardless of the cost. What separates this film from others is its cold perspective. Aerial combat here is not noble. It is competitive, brutal, and deeply political. The film was shot using real World War I replica aircraft flown by elite stunt pilots. Dogfights were choreographed but dangerous. Cameras mounted on wings and fuselages captured unstable movement and vertigo-inducing dives. The sky feels untrustworthy. Gravity is always waiting. When planes break apart, there is no cinematic mercy. Men fall silently into open space. George Peppard's performance is chilling because it refuses sentiment. His pilot is not haunted by death. He is energized by it. Each kill brings him closer to recognition and further from humanity. This psychological angle gives the aerial sequences emotional weight. Every dogfight feels like a moral collapse happening at altitude. Visually, the Blue Max is astonishing. Sunlight flashes across canvas wings. Bullets tear through fabric. Engines sputter at the worst moments. The film understands that early aviation was experimental, fragile, and terrifying. These machines were barely holding together under stress. Victory depended on nerve rather than technology. The Blue Max stands apart because it treats aerial warfare as a corrupted sport where skill is admired but empathy is punished. It is one of the few air combat films brave enough to make its greatest pilot completely unlikable. That honesty makes it unforgettable. Number 8. 12 O'Clock High, 1949. No aerial war film captures pressure like 12 O'Clock High. This is not a movie about dogfights. It is a movie about command. Set during the daylight bombing campaign over Europe, the film focuses on the men who must send crews into the sky, knowing many will not return. The aircraft are B-17 bombers, but the real subject is psychological endurance. Combat footage blends real wartime aerial photography with dramatic sequences, creating an almost documentary realism. Flak bursts feel random and cruel. Fighters strike without warning. Planes vanish from formation, leaving gaps that feel permanent. There is no glory in these skies, only routine terror repeated mission after mission. Gregory Peck's commanding officer is not heroic in a traditional sense. He is rigid, distant, and emotionally sealed. His discipline keeps men alive, but it also destroys him. The film shows leadership as isolation. The higher the rank, the lonelier the burden. Every decision costs lives, and the weight accumulates quietly. What makes 12 O'Clock High essential is its refusal to exaggerate. There are no triumphant musical swells. Victories are muted. Losses are administrative. Crews are replaced. Planes are repaired. The war grinds forward with mechanical cruelty. This film influenced generations of military cinema because it understood something vital. Aerial warfare is not only fought in the sky, it is fought in briefing rooms, in command offices, and inside the minds of those forced to choose who flies tomorrow. Few war films have ever been this honest. Number 7. The Dam Busters, 1955. The Dam Busters is not about chaos in the sky. It is about precision pushed to the edge of human capability. Released in 1955, this film recreates one of the most technically demanding air missions of the Second World War with an almost surgical focus. Every altitude, every speed, and every second matters. Failure is not dramatic. It is immediate. The story follows the Royal Air Force squadron tasked with destroying heavily defended German dams using an untested weapon that must be dropped at an exact height and distance. The film treats aviation as engineering under pressure. Pilots fly dangerously low, skimming water treetops and power lines in heavy bombers never designed for such maneuvers. One mistake and the aircraft simply disappears. What makes the Dam Busters extraordinary is its commitment to realism. Real Lancaster bombers were used. Real flight procedures were followed. The aircraft feel massive and vulnerable at the same time. The camera lingers inside cockpits where tension builds silently. No one shouts. No one celebrates. Every man knows that survival depends on discipline, not heroics. The film emphasizes preparation as much as execution. Long stretches focus on training, repetition, and calculation. This makes the eventual mission almost unbearable to watch because the audience understands exactly how narrow the margin for error is. When planes are lost, the moment is quick and brutally unemotional, just as it would have been in real operations. The Dam Busters remains one of the most respectful portrayals of aerial warfare ever filmed. It honors competence over bravado and restraint over spectacle. Its influence can be seen in every modern war film that treats aviation as a science rather than a fantasy. Number 6. Tora, 1970. Tora does not tell a single heroic story. It reconstructs an event. Released in 1970, the film depicts the attack on Pearl Harbor with an almost clinical commitment to accuracy. There are no fictional protagonists guiding the audience. History itself is the central character. The production was massive. Real aircraft, real naval vessels, and international crews worked together to recreate the attack with extraordinary precision. Japanese and American perspectives are presented side by side without moral commentary. Orders are given, plans are executed, and consequences unfold without cinematic exaggeration. Aerial sequences are staged with clarity rather than chaos. Japanese aircraft move in disciplined formations. Bombing runs are methodical. Fighters peel away according to plan. The sky feels controlled until suddenly it does not. When explosions begin, the destruction is overwhelming precisely because it feels inevitable rather than dramatic. What separates Tora from other war films is its refusal to emotionalize the moment. There are no swelling speeches or personal arcs. The attack unfolds as a chain of decisions, some brilliant, some catastrophic. The absence of melodrama allows the scale of the event to speak for itself. From an aviation perspective, the film is unmatched. Aircraft behavior feels authentic. pilots react realistically. Dogfights are brief, brutal, and confusing. The sky is crowded and unforgiving. This is warfare driven by timing, coordination, and surprise rather than individual valor. Tora 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 remains essential because it treats aerial warfare as history rather than mythology. It shows how easily devastation can be achieved when preparation meets vulnerability.
Number 5. Dunkirk, 2017. Dunkirk earns the #1 position because it places the audience inside aerial warfare rather than explaining it. Directed by Christopher Nolan, the film strips away narration, hero speeches, and musical guidance, forcing viewers to experience air combat exactly as the pilots did, through time, fuel, and silence. The aerial sequences follow Royal Air Force pilots flying fragile fighters over the English Channel with minutes of fuel and no margin for error. The enemy is rarely seen. A shadow crosses the clouds. A plane appears without warning. Combat is brief, violent, and disorienting. Every turn burns fuel. Every second becomes a calculation between survival and sacrifice. What makes Dunkirk extraordinary is restraint. The cockpit is claustrophobic, while the sky feels endless and hostile. Engines fail without warning. When a pilot glides toward the sea, there is no rescue score, no reassurance, only inevitability. Victories pass quietly. Losses vanish without ceremony. The film understands aerial warfare as isolation at altitude. Pilots fight alone, separated by clouds, distance, and time. Their actions shape events far below, but their struggle remains solitary. Dunkirk is not the loudest aerial war film ever made. It is the most suffocating, and that honesty makes it the greatest.
Number 4. Memphis Belle, 1990. Memphis Belle brings the audience inside the aluminum coffin of a daylight bomber and refuses to let them look away. Set during the brutal air war over Europe, the film follows a single B-17 crew on their final mission before rotation home. The concept is simple, but the execution is relentless. Survival is counted not in victories, but in completed missions. The film excels in showing how bomber warfare was an exercise in sustained terror. Flak does not announce itself. It appears suddenly, tearing holes through aircraft and bodies alike. Enemy fighters strike with ruthless speed. Formations break. Engines fail. The sky becomes a maze of smoke fire and falling metal. Every second inside, the bomber feels stretched thin. What sets Memphis Belle apart is its attention to crew dynamics. Each man has a role that must be performed perfectly under pressure. Gunners scan empty skies for threats that may never come. Pilots wrestle wounded aircraft while maintaining formation discipline. The navigator and bombardier carry responsibility that cannot be shared. Fear is present but contained because panic would kill everyone. The film does not glamorize heroism. Death arrives without warning. Damage accumulates gradually. Fatigue is constant. When the bomber finally turns for home, there is no triumph, only relief mixed with guilt. Others did not make it back. Aerial sequences combine practical effects, real aircraft, and immersive sound design to convey the vulnerability of bombers at altitude. The enemy is not just fighters. It is cold oxygen loss, mechanical failure, and gravity itself. Memphis Belle succeeds because it treats bomber crews as endurance athletes trapped in a war of attrition. The sky is not a battlefield to conquer. It is something to survive long enough to escape. Number 3. Catch-22, 1970. Catch-22 presents aerial warfare as an absurd machine designed to consume those trapped inside it. Set among American bomber crews flying dangerous missions over the Mediterranean, the film uses dark humor to expose the logic of endless combat. Missions increase just as men reach their limit. Survival becomes a bureaucratic impossibility. What gives the film its power is contrast. The aerial sequences are startlingly authentic. Real B-25 bombers fly at low altitude through flak-filled skies. Bombing runs feel exposed and terrifying. Aircraft skim over water and terrain with no margin for error. These scenes are shot with an almost documentary rawness. Against this realism, the ground-based world feels surreal. Officers speak in circles. Rules contradict themselves. Logic dissolves.
The result is a psychological trap where sanity becomes the enemy. The sky may kill you, but the system ensures you keep flying until it does. Catch-22 understands that aerial warfare was not only physically dangerous, but mentally corrosive. Pilots were asked to embrace risk repeatedly while being told that fear was proof of insanity. This contradiction sits at the heart of the film. The aerial combat is brief but unforgettable. Attacks are sudden, losses are immediate. There is no build-up or heroic framing.
Planes explode and vanish without ceremony. The randomness reinforces the film's central theme. Survival is not earned, it is accidental. Catch-22 remains one of the most honest portrayals of how air war erodes identity. It shows men reduced to numbers and missions in a system that feeds on compliance. Number 2. Dark Blue World, 2001. Dark Blue World tells its story from inside memory. Framed through reflection and loss, the film follows Czech pilots who escape Nazi occupation and join the Royal Air Force. These men fight for a country not their own, driven by loyalty, exile, and unfinished grief. The aerial combat is intimate and immersive. Cockpit shots dominate, placing the viewer directly behind the controls. Dogfights are fast, unstable, and deeply personal. Enemy aircraft appear suddenly, filling the frame before vanishing in smoke and fire. The sky feels crowded, hostile, and unpredictable. What distinguishes Dark Blue World is its emotional grounding. Every sortie carries personal stakes. These pilots have already lost their homeland. The air war becomes both refuge and punishment. Victory offers momentary purpose, while loss deepens isolation. The film captures the physical reality of fighter combat. Planes shudder under stress, engines sputter, pilots strain against gravity and fear. There is no romantic distance. You feel every turn, every dive, every moment of uncertainty. Beyond combat, the film explores betrayal after the war, when returning pilots face suspicion and imprisonment. This context gives the aerial sequences tragic weight. The sky was the one place they were free. Dark Blue World stands as one of the most emotionally resonant aerial war films ever made. It reminds us that air combat is not only about nations or tactics. It is about displaced men fighting for meaning in a world that no longer recognizes them. Number 1. The Battle of Britain, 1969. The Battle of Britain earns the number 1 position not through nostalgia but through authority. No other aerial war film has ever captured air combat with this level of authenticity, scale, and restraint. This film does not recreate the past. It resurrects it. Real aircraft, real pilots, and real formations fill the sky, creating an experience that has never been surpassed. Hundreds of operational World War II aircraft were gathered and flown in coordinated sequences that would be impossible today. Spitfires, Hurricanes, Messerschmitts, and bombers move across the frame with weight and presence. These machines are not digital phantoms. They cast shadows. They struggle against wind and gravity. When they collide or fall, the loss feels final. The aerial combat is chaotic and unsentimental. Pilots break formation, lose visual contact, and fight exhaustion as much as the enemy. Dogfights are brief, violent, and disorienting. Many end without confirmation of victory. Planes simply vanish, trailing smoke into clouds below. The film understands that aerial warfare is rarely clear and never clean. What elevates the film beyond spectacle is its discipline. There is no singular hero guiding the audience. Instead, the focus remains on the collective effort and the grind of sustained defense. Command decisions, logistics, morale, and fatigue all shape the outcome. The enemy is not villainized. They are shown as professionals bound by orders and limitations, just like their opponents. The sound design, the pacing, and the aerial photography create a sense of historical gravity. You are not watching a story. You are witnessing an event. This is why the film endures. It does not ask for emotional manipulation. It earns respect through honesty. The Battle of Britain is not just the greatest aerial war movie ever made, it is the benchmark by which all others are judged. Aerial war movies remind us that history was fought in fragile machines held together by courage, discipline, and fear. These films preserve that truth. They place us in the sky where survival was never guaranteed and where every mission rewrote the meaning of sacrifice. This is where war truly took flight.